And you know, I've got some good news for you folks. It's going really well in this race. Like I said, we have a poll out and I'm leading the field. And on top of all of that, it's a two-part poll. Part one, they said, who are you voting for? I'm leading. In part two, they introduced my story and the stories of my opponents. And my lead jumps 20 points over the next person. So right now, I have the best possible problem to have, and that's a problem of mechanics. I just need to get that story out. I need to get the issues out that I'm fighting for. And I would love your help with that. You know, one of the things that Cristina Citsun Ramirez did was she was able to excite a lot of young Latino voters when she worked with Beto O'Rourke. Last cycle, when the candidate got within 3 points, or the candidate running for Congress got within 3 points, but Beto O'Rourke won this district. And when we looked at that extra volume of voters, it was young people. It was Latino people. Texas 24 is a majority-minority district. This is news to some folks. This is fairly recent. It happened as of 2016. It's a fairly young district, very suburban, completely suburban, in fact. The kind of person that's going to drive voter turnout needs to appeal to folks who typically do not turn out. I've been able to get a coalition of folks that are not old enough to vote, all the way up to people who have been voting for many decades. And I'm very, very proud of that multicultural, multi-generational coalition of folks. And I hope that you'll join me. I'd love for you to knock, I'd love for you to call, and if none of those things are your calling, if you can give, it would make a big difference in getting out the vote in Texas 24 and in flipping Texas, because we need to flip the seats within Texas 24. So thank you so much.
Have 10 minutes, and I apologize for not saying this ahead of time, and I will give you an extra minute for babbling in one of yours. And all of our candidates get 20 minutes to speak so that it's fair, so that everyone that you will hear will get 20 minutes. We're giving our Senate candidates 30, since some of them are traveling across the state of Texas to see us. So tonight we have 10 minutes for questions for Candace.
Hello, hi.
What are your views on campaign finance reform and the tsunami of money that's flooded our politics since Citizens United?
Are you a plant? Jeff. So campaign finance reform is one of the biggest issues. One of the, you know, people talk a lot about Democrats and Republicans not being able to talk to each other, and quite frankly, the problem is that people profit off of us fighting. And so we have large corporations flooding the airways with very tense communications. They want to put us on our worst behavior. When we have a flood of money controlling our electoral system, we don't actually have any sort of real representation. So one of the things that I want to push for is campaign finance reform. In fact, it's the baseline for anything that we do, because if we don't have campaign finance reform, we can't have affordable health care or a Medicare for all or a public option, which is the thing that I'm advocating for, because there's going to be corporate interests that are going to bend it until it breaks. We won't be able to get guns out of our schools until we have substantial campaign finance reform, because the gun lobby is going to make sure that politicians always vote to put the most weapons out there and give us the least restrictive laws. We're not going to have any sort of climate action if oil companies control all of our politicians. So campaign finance reform is the very linchpin of anything that we hope to accomplish in this administration. It's one of the reasons that it was one of the first things passed last session, and it's one of the reasons that we're going to be working really hard to organize folks so that we can not just pass it, but get it through the Senate too.